We're back with the Penn State Wrestling Show. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. Greg Pickel is here to give us the latest information. We're a day later than normal because the information we needed to talk about didn't come out until after when we normally record this on Wednesday. So we're here on a Thursday. But if you're listening to this on a Friday or Saturday or, our last show that we did, I think a lot of people picked it up on Saturday and Sunday, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people watched it then. So whenever you're watching this, hello. We're here to talk about Penn State wrestling. And Greg, what are we talking about on today's show?
Yeah, so it's U20 Team Trial Week. It's U23 Nationals Week, so a lot of Penn State connections will be on the mat this weekend in Ohio. The event is Saturday and Sunday. U20 tournament is completed in its entirety on Saturday. U23 Nationals take place over the course of Saturday and Sunday. So some news there. We have some tangentially related Final X news to get to, which we're going to do at the end of the show. But yeah, it's age group. It's another weekend where age group world teams will be set. And Penn State, of course, is vying for having as many connections on those as possible. So let's set this up real quick before we get into the nitty gritty, T. Frank. So if you listen to our senior world team trials preview show, we didn't spend a lot of time, but we did spend some time talking about Nick Lee being a part of the field. And by the time we ended up posting the show and after we recorded it, Nick Lee was no longer a part of the field. So that is my caveat, my clarifier, that some of the names we talk about as of this moment are all expected to be wrestling this weekend. As we all know, when it gets to weigh-ins on Saturday, or if and when USA Wrestling ever decides to release pre-seeds on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever it could be, sometimes the field change. So keep that in mind, and we'll always have the latest over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's get into the U20 team trials and let's talk about some of the Penn State connections here. There's obviously a big connection at 134, but let's just run down and rip into it. What are the names we need to know for this U20 team trial that's on Saturday?
Yeah, well, so we'll talk about Marcus Blaze and being in that 61 kilogram, 134 pound bracket a little bit later. But we'll start with the guys, T. Frank, who are Penn State connections that earned the right to sit out until the best of 3 U20 World Team Trials final. List starts with PJ Duke. He's well known by everyone at this point that follows Penn State wrestling, one of the top recruits in the class of 2025. A guy who has, won at seemingly every single level there is to win at throughout his career. He is sitting in the 70 kilogram final in the U20 World Championships, the U.S. Team Trials, rather, that will set the USA lineup for the U20 Nationals later this year. So PJ Duke's in there. William Henkel, another class of 2025 commit and a teammate of PJ Duke's, is sitting in the 79 kilogram bracket finals. And then the Mirasola twins, Connor and Cole, Connor at 92 and Cole at 125, are both sitting to the final as well. So all 4 of those guys are favored, T. Frank, to win their weight class and make the U.S. U20 World Team. I would say of the group, each will be challenged. There's no question about that. Duke could see Melvin Miller of Bishop McCourt, class of 2027 recruit, in the finals there. Obviously, those guys have plenty of familiarity. If you followed the Big Ten wrestling season back during the college portion of the year, Brock Manitono was a very good wrestler in his first year at Michigan. He could be the one William Henkel faces in the finals at 79 kilograms. Oklahoma State's Cody Merrill, probably the top challenger to Connor Mirasola at 92 kilograms. And then, T. Frank, you have one of the most loaded U20 team trial fields I can remember at 125 kilograms. The list of names here, you're probably familiar with some of them, maybe not all of them, but Oklahoma State commit Drayshawn Ross, Iowa commit Michael Mako, who was a Penn State target, Minnesota's Coy Hopke, very good young wrestler, and then Cornell signee Rocco Delegata. So Cole Mirasola will have his work cut out for him. The good news for him, though, T. Frank, is that all those guys have to beat each other up first before they even bother with wrestling Cole Mirasola. So
Gotcha.
Those 4 guys sit into the finals. Should be good news for Penn State.
So we'll be keeping up to date with that at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com on Saturday, obviously Saturday and Sunday. Is that it for the U20? Do you want to move on to the U23?
So there's some other guys. Yeah, there's some other guys in the challenge portion of the field. So just so everyone's familiar with the language, especially if you're reading about it later this weekend. So the guys that are sitting out that we just talked about in the U20 team trials are not part of the challenge tournament that will start things on Saturday in Geneva, Ohio. The challenge tournament, of course, is how they figure out who's going to wrestle the guys sitting into the finals. So those 4 plus the other weight classes that are already there. So there's some Penn State guys entered in those fields as well. At 57 kilograms, Anthony Knox is waiting in the final. Penn State class of 2025 signee Nate Desmond entered in the 57 kilogram bracket. Question there, of course, is how will he perform? Could he hit the medal stand? I would not expect him to win that weight class, but certainly could have a strong showing. Mentioned a minute ago rather, Marcus Blaze, the all-world Penn State class of 2025 signee. He did not, remember, he wrestled the senior trials back at the U.S. Open, so he did not compete in the U20 U.S. Open, which means he couldn't win that to sit out until the finals. So Kyler Larkin from Oklahoma State is sitting out into the finals after winning that weight class. So Blaze is going to try and run through the the 61 kilogram bracket field. Penn State class of 2026 commit Sam Herring is in there as well. Let me back up for a second. Larkin, Arizona State. I got my states mixed up. Not Oklahoma State, but Kyler Larkin sitting in the finals. Blaze, of course, I think would be the favorite to meet him in the 61 kilogram finals, but it's a pretty good field in that challenge tournament. Ben DeVino, Wisconsin Zane Fuggett, who, if you followed the NCAA tournament, very impressive NCAAs for him as a freshman for the Badgers. So certainly would expect Blaze to make the finals and take on Arizona State's Larkin at 61 kilograms, but time will tell there, T. Frank. 74 kilograms, Ladarian Lockett, Oklahoma State guy, sitting in the finals of that weight class. Two notes here. Joe Seeley, redshirt freshman from Penn State, highly regarded 165-pound recruit. In the last cycle, obviously took a year off as a redshirt last year. Now enters this field at 74 kilograms, which very interested to see how he performs. It'll be the first chance really to see what progress he made during his first full year inside the Penn State wrestling room along with the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. So very curious to see how he performs there. And obviously another name in the field there is class of 2026 commit Jaden James, who of course we talked about, reigning 150-pound New Jersey State champ. He bumps up here to 74 kilograms, which is 163.1 pounds, which is interesting. It could just be simply because Duke is in the 70 kilogram final weighting already, or it could be because he's going to bump up in weight. We talked to his coach. You can read that interview over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. But his coach said that he's moved up in weight every year since he's been in high school, T. Frank, so he's going to move up again this year. And that could be an early indicator of where he goes.
Gotcha. Okay, let's move on to the U23 entries and look at the next round of Penn State connections. So what do we got going on here with the U23 tournament?
Yeah, so simply put, this is nationals for the U23 age group. It will in some ways impact the Team USA U23 group, but in other ways it won't. So the reason for that is if you are on Team USA, which if you make the Final X event, which is in June in New Jersey, you are one of the top 3 in the U.S. in your weight class for men's freestyle, which means you're a part of Team USA. So that also gives you the opportunity to take the U23 team spot if you want it. Penn State will be well represented at Final X, of course. You have Luke Lillidahl, PJ Duke, Mitchell Messenbrink, Levi Haynes, Josh Barr, all in Final X finals to make the senior level U.S. World Team, which means those weight class spots at U23 are theirs for the taking too, and we'd expect that to be the case. So we'll have to wait and see how Final X goes and how that could shake things up. But those World Championships are all at different times, so I would think that those guys would take both if earned, but we'll have to wait and see. At any rate, there's some Penn State guys wrestling at U23 Nationals. You have Connor Pierce at 70 kilograms, Ty Watson at 74, Sam Beckett at 79, and Dawson Bundy at 125 kilograms. When I leave the name to know most for last, T. Frank, that's Penn State newcomer Rocco Welsh, transferred in from Ohio State this offseason. He's going to wrestle 86 kilograms, 189.5 pounds. By the pin rating that USA Wrestling puts out, which is a basically score you get based on how you've performed in the past, he leads that weight class. So I would give him every opportunity, he's favored for sure, I would say, going into the weekend to win that weight class and be another Penn State and Nittany Lion Wrestling Club connection on the U23 World Team for the United States. So we'll have to wait and see how all of it shakes out. Again, that tournament is a 2-day one, Saturday and Sunday. The U20 tournament is just on Saturday. They'll start in the morning and finish sometime probably a little after dinner time, like in the 6 o'clock range. And we'll have all that covered for you at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com.
Okay, so then Final X is the last preview we have, which of course is not this weekend. But, this does, you mentioned at the top of the show, a couple of previews you wanted to have for this one. So round us out with what we got going on in Final X news.
Yeah, so I tried to tease this the best I could, and as I'm sitting here talking, I don't know if I did it the best I could, but we're going to catch everybody up right here. So here's where things get interesting for Marcus Blaze. So Marcus Blaze, as I just mentioned, will have to go through the U20 Challenge tournament to try and earn the right to face excuse me here, I'm getting my names mixed up here. Kyler Larkin of Arizona State in the finals, right? So he'll have to do that, but that's this weekend. Next weekend, he's going to wrestle, I think there's 12 of them, or maybe, no, I think there's 6. True third place matches at Final X. What is true third place? That is the opportunity for winners or guys who didn't face each other at either the U.S. Open or team trials at the senior level to earn a spot on Team USA as the number 3 guy in their weight class. So there's a number of Penn State connections in this, but the main 2 I want to focus on are in these true third place matches for a spot on Team USA at the senior level. Marcus Blaze is going to take on Brock Hardy of Nebraska in the 65 kilogram true third place match. That matters for 2 reasons. 1, he could be seen eventually as the third backup or the number 3 guy at 65 kilograms on Team USA. It also could put him in play to be on that U23 team by virtue of being a member of the senior Team USA. So he could join those aforementioned guys who already have a spot by winning that match. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then no implications of the U23 tournament, but Carter Strachey will have a spot on the line on Team USA at 86 kilograms when he takes on Parker Kikaisen, who, of course, he beat in the NCAA finals last year in a 86 kilogram true third place match. So 2 more things to watch when Final X weekend rolls around on June 14th. What they're going to do at that event is they're going to start with these true third place matches. Then they will wrestle the first in the best of 3 final at each weight class, and then they will take a break, and they'll come back and wrestle the second match in the best of 3, and then the third one, obviously, if need be. So we'll, of course, have that covered for you when it gets here as well. But T. Frank, that's a lot of information at once. We'll have it in written form, of course, over at bluewhiteillustrated.com and in results flowing throughout the weekend. I will warn you, because there are so many guys sitting, especially in the U20 tournament, to the finals, I think it's going to be a weird Saturday to some degree, T. Frank, because I think there's going to be a lot of waiting around, and
Gotcha.
the updates will drip. And then once the end of the tournament gets closer, it'll be like a fire hose. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I think the bulk of the updates on Saturday will be late afternoon, early evening, and then Sunday just throughout the day as that U23 Nationals tournament plays out.
All right. Well, Greg's got a busy weekend ahead of him. You should reward him with that by going over to bluewhiteillustrated.com and following his wrestling coverage. And, of course, subscribing here to the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel, hitting the like button on this video. Hopefully that download of information helped you get everything straight. And I always appreciate Greg for giving the information and putting in context and making sure that everyone's on the same page of when to tune in. That's super helpful. So, Greg, appreciate you for another week, being here for another week of the show. We'll be back next week to recap all of what happened here and keep you up to date with Penn State wrestling. I'm Thomas Frank Carr for Greg Pickel and Blue White Illustrated.